Nightfall in Gotham. Chapter 1. Vampiric Outbreak. The dusk settled over Gotham like a shroud, and with it came a silence that was almost palpable. The city, known for its ceaseless clamor, lay eerily quiet as a new predator stalked its streets. It began as a rumor, a whisper in the dark corners of bars and back alleys. But soon the evidence was undeniable. People were disappearing. Night after night, the list of the missing grew. The victims seemed to vanish into thin air, leaving behind no trace except for a lingering sense of dread that something unnatural was at play. The police were baffled, their investigations leading nowhere, as if the perpetrators were ghosts. In the heart of the city, the news spread like wildfire. Talk of vampires, creatures of myth and legend, became the topic of every hushed conversation. Skeptics scoffed, but the fear was real, and it was spreading faster than the shadows at twilight. As the city's elite locked themselves behind iron gates, and the less fortunate huddled around makeshift fires, a figure watched from the rooftops. Batman, the guardian of Gotham, felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The night was his domain, and yet it had been infiltrated by an ancient evil that threatened to consume his city. The Dark Knight knew that the time for action had come. Gotham needed him, now more than ever. With a silent vow, he disappeared into the night, determined to uncover the truth. Before we continue with the story, we'd like to take a brief moment for our sponsor, digitalfableforge.com. We are the storytellers of the digital age, crafting tales through art and design that entertain and inspire. Explore our diverse portfolio of characters and shows. Read captivating crossover stories with stunning artwork, or submit your own ideas for awesome crossover stories. digitalfableforge.com. Your journey into the digital arts starts here. Chapter 2. Batman's Battle. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting Gotham into twilight, the city's protector perched atop the Gothic spire of Gargoyle Tower. Batman's gaze pierced the gathering darkness, searching for the malignant force that had taken root in his city. The vampire outbreak had escalated, and with each passing night, more souls were claimed by the shadows. The Dark Knight's surveillance equipment hummed to life, screens flickering with thermal images and intercepted communications. Amidst the cacophony of the city's heartbeat, a pattern emerged, a chilling convergence of unlife that throbbed like a festering wound in the old Gotham district. With a grim determination etched beneath his cowl, Batman launched into the abyss, his cape unfurling like the wings of a vengeful demon. The night air rushed past him, a cold reminder of the unnatural chill that had befallen Gotham. Landing silently on the cobblestone streets of old Gotham, he moved with purpose, his every sense attuned to the presence of the undead. The once vibrant neighborhood was now a ghost town, windows boarded and doors barred, the silence broken only by the distant echo of a scream or the scrape of claw on brick. It wasn't long before he found them, a horde of vampires, their forms barely discernible in the moonlight, save for the glint of their eyes and the sharpness of their fangs. They moved with a predatory grace, a pack of nocturnal hunters in the urban jungle. Batman knew he was outnumbered, but he also knew he could not turn away. This was his city, and he would defend it to his last breath. With a steely resolve, he descended upon the horde, his fists and gadgets ready to deliver justice to the night. The battle that ensued was epic, a testament to the Dark Knight's will against an unstoppable tide of darkness. He fought with the fury of a man possessed, each strike a blow for the souls of Gotham. But as the night wore on, it became clear that this was a fight he could not win alone. In the heart of the turmoil stood Batman, his figure a solitary beacon of defiance. The air around him was thick with the snarls and hisses of the encroaching vampires. With a steely gaze, he surveyed the swarm, his mind calculating the odds. They were not in his favor. The Dark Knight fought with a precision that was almost surgical, his movements a whirlwind of martial prowess. Batarangs sliced through the night, finding their marks with deadly accuracy. His cape billowed like the wings of a vengeful angel as he danced with death itself. Yet, for every vampire that fell, two more took its place. They were everywhere, a sea of faces twisted by the thirst for blood. Batman's strength was formidable, but even he could feel the strain of battle wearing him down. A particularly vicious vampire, its eyes a piercing red, broke through the defenses, its fangs sinking into Batman's armor. He grunted in pain, feeling the vampiric virus coursing through his veins, a cold fire that threatened to consume his very essence. With a roar that was both human and something more, Batman pushed back, his gauntlet releasing an electrical charge that sent the vampire screaming into the abyss. He knew this was a battle he could not win by strength alone. Using his grappling hook, Batman ascended to the rooftops, his silhouette etched against the moonlit sky. The vampires followed, a dark wave crashing against the Gothic spires of Gotham. It was there, amidst the gargoyles and the whispering wind, that Batman made his stand. He fought not just for his life, but for the soul of Gotham, his home. The battle raged on, a symphony of chaos and willpower. As dawn approached, the vampires' assault waned, their forms beginning to smoke and char under the threat of the rising sun. Batman, battered and bleeding, watched as they retreated into the shadows, their numbers diminished but not defeated. He had survived, but at a cost. The bite he had sustained was a ticking time bomb, a reminder that the night was no longer his alone. With a grimace, he vanished into the breaking day, the war against the darkness far from over. Chapter 3: Race Against Time. The dim glow of computer screens cast long shadows across the Batcave, where Batman, his cowl removed, revealing the sweat on Bruce Wayne's brow, worked feverishly. The bite on his neck, a stark reminder of the night's events, throbbed with a sinister heat. He could feel the vampiric virus coursing through his veins, an alien presence that threatened to overtake his humanity. Outside, the sun had just begun its ascent, casting the first light of dawn over Gotham. The city was unaware of the nocturnal battle that had just occurred, and the Dark Knight who had narrowly escaped the clutches of the undead horde. But there was no time for rest. The countdown had begun. In the heart of the cave, amidst the cacophony of beeping machines and flickering lights, Batman's focus was unyielding. Vials of chemicals, ancient texts on mythical creatures, and high-tech equipment lay scattered around him. Each component was a potential key to the cure he so desperately sought. Alfred, ever the faithful companion, watched with concern. "Master Wayne, you need rest," he urged, but his words fell on deaf ears. Batman's mind was a fortress, impenetrable by fatigue or fear. "I can't, Alfred. Not until I find a cure," he replied, his voice a gravelly whisper. As the hours passed, Batman's condition worsened. His senses heightened unnaturally, and a hunger began to gnaw at his insides. He knew he was running out of time. With each experiment, each failure, the beast within grew stronger. Then, amidst the despair, a breakthrough, a compound synthesized from a rare herb and his own blood, a glimmer of hope. It wasn't a cure, not yet, but it was a start, a temporary suppressant that could give him the time he needed. With the sun now high in the sky, Batman donned his cowl once more. There was a city to protect and a cure to be found. The race against time continued, but the Dark Knight was no stranger to adversity. He would not succumb to the darkness, not while Gotham still needed him. Chapter 4: Blade's Arrival. The night air of Gotham was thick with the scent of chaos. From the darkest corners of the city to the gleaming skyscrapers, fear had settled like a fog, whispering of the terror that had taken hold. It was into this maelstrom of dread that Blade, the Daywalker, arrived. His motorcycle roared through the empty streets, a lone beacon of defiance against the darkness. Blade had tracked the vampire outbreak to its latest epicenter, Gotham City. The signs were unmistakable. The missing citizens, the silent screams, and the aura of a powerful vampire presence. As he made his way to the heart of the city, Blade's senses were on high alert. He could feel the pulse of the infestation, a rhythm that beckoned him closer to the source. His mission was clear: find the nest, eliminate the master, and end the outbreak. Blade's arrival did not go unnoticed. High above, perched on the gargoyles that adorned the city's Gothic architecture, creatures of the night watched with red eyes glowing. They had heard of the Daywalker, the half-vampire who hunted their kind with relentless precision. But Blade was undeterred. He had faced hordes before, had stared into the abyss and emerged victorious. This city, plagued by shadows, needed him, and he would not fail. With his sword at his side and an arsenal of weapons at his disposal, Blade stepped into the darkness, ready to bring the fight to the vampire's doorstep. Gotham's Nightfall had come, but so had its reckoning. Chapter 5. The Hunt begins. As the moon hung low over Gotham, casting long shadows over the city's Gothic architecture, Blade found himself on the trail of an unusual prey. His vampire senses were on high alert, drawn to a unique energy signature that was both familiar and foreign. It was the scent of a vampire, but it was laced with a different kind of power, more potent than your average vampire. In the distance, a figure moved swiftly across the rooftops, a dark silhouette against the city's skyline. It was Batman, his cape billowing behind him as he leaped from one building to another. He was on a mission of his own, searching for components for a cure to his vampiric condition. Blade, sensing the power in Batman, wondered if perhaps Batman was the source of the vampiric corruption in Gotham. Of course, Blade realized who Batman was, but his mission was clear: destroy the vampires. And he sensed the vampiric infection in Batman. Batman, being the world-renowned detective he is, detected Blade following him. He understood that his quarrel was not with Blade. His choice was simple: evade and continue his mission. But with the clock ticking and Blade showing up and giving chase, it was perhaps the worst thing Batman could have hoped for. He feared he may not stem the vampiric corruption in time and succumb to it. Blade launched himself into action, his boots pounding against the rooftop as he gave chase. He was relentless, matching Batman's pace with ease. The city became their battleground, a maze of towering buildings and narrow alleyways. Their chase was a dance of shadows and moonlight, a test of their tactical prowess. Batman used his knowledge of the city to his advantage, navigating the rooftops with ease, while Blade relied on his vampire powers and abilities. As the night deepened, so did their game of cat and mouse. Batman was determined to evade Blade and continue his mission, while Blade was equally determined to catch his prey. It was a hunt like no other, a thrilling chase that was only just beginning. Night was still young, and the true battle was yet to come. The hunt had begun. Chapter 6: The Chase. Under the watchful gaze of the moon, the chase unfolded like a shadow play on the canvas of Gotham's skyline. Batman, driven by a desperate need for a cure, moved with a predator's precision, his cape billowing behind him like dark wings. The city beneath him was a maze of possibilities, each alley and avenue a potential path to salvation. Blade, the Daywalker, was a specter of vengeance, his coat trailing like a banner of war. His eyes, accustomed to the dark, tracked the fleeting figure of the bat with unerring accuracy. The scent of the vampiric virus was faint on the night breeze, but to Blade, it was as clear as a beacon. The pursuit was a testament to their abilities. Batman deployed a grappling hook, swinging from the Gothic spires of a cathedral, his silhouette etched against the night sky. Blade responded in kind, leaping with supernatural agility, his boots barely touching the edges of rooftops before launching forward again. They were two forces of nature, unstoppable and unyielding. Batman's utility belt was a treasure trove of gadgets, each designed for the perfect moment. Smoke bombs erupted in clouds of confusion. Batarangs sliced through the air with a whistle, and the Bat's own heightened senses kept him one step ahead. But Blade was relentless. His own arsenal was a symphony of silver and steel, weapons forged from a lifetime of hunting. His sword, an extension of his arm, cut through the obstacles in his path, and his strength, a product of his unique heritage, propelled him onward. The chase led them across the breadth of Gotham, from the heights of its tallest towers to the depths of its darkest districts. They moved through the city like phantoms, here one moment and gone the next, a trail of chaos the only sign of their passage. At times they came within arm's reach, the gap between hunter and hunted closing with each heartbeat. Batman felt the air shift with Blade's approach, heard the soft rasp of leather, and reacted with the instincts of a man who had faced death 1,000 times. And yet, there was no malice in their movements, no desire for bloodshed. It was a chase born of necessity, a dance of destiny between two warriors bound by a common goal, yet separated by the lines they would not cross. As dawn approached, the chase drew to a close, the two figures standing atop a gargoyle-laden tower, the city sprawling beneath them. They were silent, the only sound the whisper of the wind and the distant call of the day. The hunt had begun, and it was far from over. To be continued. If you would like to see the remainder of the story now, visit us at digitalfableforge.com.